Alright, so the first thing I wanted to do is to log into the host, which is WP Engine. And I can see here that it's housing the EdHoy WordPress site. So I'm going to click on that. And the first thing I want to do, even before I make any changes, I want to create backups. Just so that if something goes wrong, we can revert back to a previous state. So we would want to click on backup points. Make sure it is selected on production, and then you would click on backup now. You would wait a few minutes, and then the backups would get created. So like as you can see, last night I created a backup so that if anything went wrong, EdHoy could just go to a previous backup and revert the changes that I made. So that kind of allows for some, safekeeping in case something does go wrong. Once a backup's created, then we can start making changes to the site. I wasn't able to log in via FTP to the server, so by having the WP Engine credentials, not only can I create backups for security and safeguarding purposes, I can also create my own user to log into the server. And that is done by going to, let's see, I didn't see it here, but I did see it. If I keep going back to the dashboard again, let's see. Let's go to dashboard here. Click on EdHoy WP again, and down here, like I said, I did try doing staging before, but it didn't work right. So I guess we could delete this user. But I did create my own user. So, if you wanted to create a new FTP user, you can just go here, add login, and you can create your own user, apply a password, and then select the live environment. So that's that. How staging works is, ideally, now I'm already, so that's the first tab. So that's the host. I have a second tab open, which is the actual WordPress website itself. Under WP Engine, there is a subcolumn called staging, and with a click of a button, you could essentially copy the live site to the staging environment, and it'll be an exact copy, and then you can make your changes in staging, get it approved. If you broke something, it's not a big deal because it's not the live site. And this is the staging URL, and as you can see, if I paste it into the browser, it looks exactly like the production site. But I wasn't able to get staging to work. Meaning if I start making changes on staging, it didn't reflect. So instead I had to do the work on production. Luckily, the tasks at hand that I had to do, which is this part right here, was small. So it wasn't a big deal working on production. But on bigger tasks, we might need to figure out the staging. I think there's something weird going on with the caching that does not cause staging to update itself with the new changes. But I spent about half an hour, and then I kind of gave up and just went straight to production. So in any case, that's staging. That's why it was important to try to work on there. But like I said, I didn't work on staging. So the change I had to make was make this into a slider. So there are a couple technologies that I had to work with. So there was the WordPress end, which will allow me to upload images and apply links. Then there's the HTML to essentially put it in this box, this area here on the page. And then there's JavaScript, which allows for the rotation of the three images. So the first thing I would want to go over is the WordPress part. And first things first is you would upload the three images. So in media, I uploaded the three images, as you can see here. And once WordPress has the image, I went to the home page, which is, I do that by going to pages, and then I look for front page, which is this art glass supplies. I'll click on edit, and at the bottom there is a section called custom fields, which is this area here. If you don't see that right away, at the top there's a screen option. Make sure that custom fields is checkboxed or is checked, and then and down here I have 6 fields that I created. I have slider image 1, slider image 2, slider image 3, and then slider link 1, slider link 2, and slider link 3. These correspond to the image and the link that the image will be associated to when somebody clicks on an image. And 1, 2, 3 is pretty self-explanatory. 1 is the first one, 2nd is the middle, and the 3rd is the last one. You would populate the slider image 1 with the link that is the location of where you upload it in WordPress. So if you, I'm going to open a new tab, go to media again. When I upload an image, let's say I upload this image, over on this right hand side you get this URL. Basically this is the URL of the actual image itself. And if I open up a new tab, I paste that link there, it gives me the image. That is what you would put in on the right hand side of these 3 fields: slider image 2, and slider image 3. The link where you want the image to go to when somebody clicks on it is the slider link. So for the first one, I wanted to go to this page. So if I click on, if I refresh the page, which will initiate the first one going first, I click on it, and it goes to another page. Well, that page, this page here, this URL here, is defined by the URI I put into slider link 1 or 2 or 3. If in the future, if you wanted to add like slide 4, for example, you would go down here and enter in, slide image underscore 4. You would put the URL of the image. You'll click on add custom field, and then once that's done, then you would then create a slide link underscore 4 for where slide 4 should be going to once somebody clicks on that. So that's an FYI, that just because you add in another attribute here, another custom field here, doesn't mean it's actually going to go to slide 4. There's other changes you have to do as well, but this is one of the changes. So in terms of WordPress, that's it. So we're done with the WordPress component. The next thing you would need to do is write some code in the HTML itself. Once you can FTP into the server, you would navigate to the website and then open up a file. The file is actually under, let me try to mimic the FTP. So if you go to Appearance Editor, on the right hand side there is going to be a file name called page underscore homepage. Let's see if I can find it. Homepage template, so page-home.php. This is the code that the homepage runs off of. And to figure out where in the code that I have to make the modification, the shortcut that I took was, if I'm using Chrome, and I typically do use Chrome, let me just go back to the EdHoy homepage. If I right click and I go to inspect, I should be looking, and I'm highlighting a site image, which basically highlights this entire box here. I know that in the code I should be searching for a site image. So I'm gonna copy that, and then if I do a find on a site image, this code here is where I should be making modifications. Now this code's already written, but before this was there, before these are the new lines of code that I created. Everything inside this 8-side image box is new code I've written. So as you can see, it's not that much code, but finding out where to write it was one of the challenges. So that's a quick. So by using the Chrome DevTools, I was able to find out where in this entire page where to edit the code. As you can see, there's going to be some stuff that looks familiar. We have slider link 1, slider image 1, and then in that example where I told you how to make the fourth one, all you have to do is copy that line of code. Let's indent it better. And then all you have to do is change 3 to 4. Update the file, and now you have a 4th slide if you wanted to update this area to have 4 slides instead of 3. So let me explain this code a little bit better, and I'm going to bring up my IDE just because the color might help with explaining things. So right now there are 3 slides, and they're wrapped around a div. The div acts as a container, and there's 3 containers, right? So we have, and the div container is called slide custom. Within each container is a hyperlink, and the code is going to get the custom field slide link 1, at least for the first container, which will grab the custom field called slide link 1, which should have slide 1's hyperlink, where if somebody clicks on that image, where it should go to. So slide link 1 corresponds to, let me bring up the WordPress page. And slide link 1. So it's going to grab this URL and substitute it right here. And then in terms of the image source, it's going to grab slider image 1, which would grab this URL here, which contains our slide 1 image. And there's 3 of them. So essentially what's really going on behind the scenes is that this area here, there's really 3 images, 3 containers, but they're hidden, and only one of them shows up at the same time, or shows at the same time. So if I manipulate the DOM a little bit, so if I do, see if I could try to mimic this, make that block, make that a block, and then I think there's one more. Yeah, every time it changes, it's gonna hide the ones I'm trying to unblock or unhide. There's 2, and I should probably try to get the 3rd one. Well, just believe me, there's actually 3 of them here. Oh, there it is, 3 of them here, but only one of them shows at the same time. So that's really what's going on. Now, what's hiding it is the JavaScript. So this is the HTML part. I didn't have to do any CSS because I used JavaScript to hide the boxes. So what's going on is that it's using jQuery, and it's going to go through the HTML and look for any containers that has the class name of slide custom, and it's going to hide it. And what it's going to do is then, the I is basically my count, but it's going to cycle through all the slide custom, and because all of them are hidden at this point, let me try to see if I could put this side by side to help you out a little bit. There you go. Alright, so we're hiding all of them, and now what we want to do is, so it starts at 0, or it really just starts at 1, but it starts at the first one, and it's going to fade in the most, the first slide custom, and there's going to be a delay, meaning 5,000. I think this is in microseconds, so it's 5 seconds. It's going to delay for 5 seconds, and then once 5 seconds happens again, it's going to fade out. The fade in and fade out is what causes the kind of fading in and fading out effect. that you kind of quickly see here. If you want it to last longer than 5 seconds, let's say you want it to last 8 seconds, you just change it to 8,000. So that's how you would change it. And once you fade out, it's going to call cycle again, and cycle basically will call this function, and basically it's just an infinite loop that will fade in an image, keep it for 5 seconds, and then fade it out. And then you bump up the count, so then you go to the next one. So this is where I equals plus plus I. You just adding 1, and you just basically just cycle, and it just repeats itself. And that's basically it. And it doesn't matter if you add 4 or 5 more containers, because the JavaScript code is smart enough to just continue cycling through all the slide custom containers. And that's basically it. Let's see, what else did I miss? So that's the WordPress part. Yeah, just know that you just have to look for page home. That's where the code's at. And that was it. I had to Google how to have jQuery rotate through each container, but after finding it, it's basically just a copy and paste. And that's all I can say about that.